Hey guys, welcome back to the biggest agricultural platform in Namibia known as Nduna Wengombe, which means headman of cattle. My name, of course, is Mitchell Mutumba Simata, aka the headman of cattle. Today, on the 19th of December 2021, I'm doing a video on a request that one gentleman came through the comment section and asked me to do it. This gentleman's name is Mr. Juris Engelbrecht. He asked, can you also make a video talking about the problem starting business on agri like the uphill battle stinks? So now I felt I should oblige. I did some research on, and I'll give my personal opinion, but most of it will be from a researcher's background. So modern agriculture has many complex challenges. This information is supplied by Syngenta Global. Farming is a complex and unpredictable and individual business. Farmers must meet the changing needs of our planet and the expectations of regulators, consumers, and food processors, plus retailers. There are increasing pressure from climate change, soil erosion, and biodiversity loss, and from consumers' changing tastes in food concerning how it is produced. The natural world that farming works with, plants, pests, disease, continue to pose their own challenges. While modern agriculture provides a large number of solutions, the output is not always the same because each farm is uniquely different. Landscape, soil available technology, and potential yields. What kind of problems do farmers face? Farmers need to deal with many problems, including how to cope with climate change, soil erosion, and biodiversity loss, satisfy consumers' changing tastes and expectations, meet rising demands for more food of higher quality, invest in farming productivity, adapt and learn new technologies, stay resilient against global economic factors, inspire young people to stay in the rural areas and become future farmers. Farmers must adapt to climate change. The effect of climate change affects farmers' ability to grow the food we all need. Increasing volatile weather and more extreme events like floods and droughts, changing growing season, limit the availability of water, allow weeds, pests, and fungus to thrive, and can reduce crop productivity. Soil erosion is reducing the amount of land available for agriculture, and declining biodiversity affect the pollination of the crop. At the same time, farmers are under pressure to conserve water and use fewer agricultural inputs. They need to adapt to these changes. Farmers also need to mitigate the greenhouse gas emission contributed by agriculture through adopting climate smart practices, a new learning journey for many. Land, only 12% of the world's land can be used for farming, only 12%. Water, farming uses 70% of the world's fresh water. Emission, farming generates 12% of the greenhouse gas emissions every year. Biodiversity, 80% of crop species in the European Union depend at least partly to pollination by wildlife. Consumer and expectation drive the food value chain. Farmers need to meet a rising demand for more food of higher quality. In recent years, there has been a shift in focus from concern about enough food. Society has rising expectations of farmers to reduce their impact on the environment, to increase their nutritional content of their crops, and to further minimize chemical residue in crops and the environment. So those are the headaches, the challenges we're facing. Farming is a business. Agitech is raising crop production, but farmers need to invest in such technology. Agitech is agri-tech. From treated seeds and crop protection products to data and analyze apps and precision spraying, while large-scale farmers may be able to afford to invest. Small scale holders don't always have access to an affordable source of credit. And when farmers must learn how to best use these technologies to improve their business. So beside it helping us, large-scale farmers might be able to pay for very expensive self-driving tractors and drone spraying, but a small-scale farmer might not be. And then farmers must learn how to best use these technologies to improve their business. So you must still go learn how to utilize flying a drone, for drones to fly over your cabbage patch, your crops, and to spray pesticides. So you need to now master all these things. A farmer's business decisions are complicated by global economic factors like fluctuation, commodity prices, and trade issues, and the fact that a harvest can be affected by weather, insect, or disease. There's also the question, who is going to farm in the future? As millions of people from rural areas migrate to the cities each year, farmers need to inspire enough to remain and build a career in the agricultural sector. So those are the things that we're facing within the agribusiness. Now, one thing that was not mentioned here, beside all the other big issues, is accessibility to land. I did make a video where I spoke about, is it easy obtaining a farm in Namibia? Agricultural land is expensive, particularly depending on the type of agriculture you want to get involved in. It really does play a major role in your agricultural business if you are able to acquire agricultural land. Sometimes certain agricultural practices do not need you to have very big pieces of land. Certain agricultural practices need you to have very large pieces of land because of the type of projects you do. So the type of farming determines the type of agricultural land you'll need. Another thing that we have to look at that most people probably overlook, as I said, availability of land and the land prices. Land isn't cheap. It's not cheap, whether you buy agricultural or even land within an urban settlement. It's quite expensive. So beside all these other factors that I've mentioned, availability of land, access to a market, getting into the value chain, many farmers struggle with getting into the value chain. You will find situations whereby a person is producing probably eggplants, but his eggplants aren't getting shelf space in a shop like Pick and Pay Checkers or ShopRite. So really you struggle with that. We struggle with getting a market, firstly. We struggle with getting into the value chain. That's another headache. And we also struggle to meet certain of the requirements some of the regulators put forward. Because remember, the regulators need to follow global standards. If you are trying to export your duck eggs to the European market, your duck eggs need to meet global standards. And sometimes these global standards are very difficult for a small-scale person to be able to comply. Just like the information said, even with the technologies we get, agricultural technologies. I remember John Deere, I made a video where I was talking about their self-driveless tractor, and also the tractor doesn't need you to drive, it just needs you to plot out a map for it on the cell phone. All these new technologies are coming out, and as I also mentioned, drones. People are starting to deploy drones to do spraying of herbicides and so forth. All these technologies are coming out, but a small-scale farmer in a communal area might not be able to afford it compared to a large-scale farmer who's probably working on a commercial level. So all these things do fluctuate. As I mentioned, one thing I saw with the mango farmer in South Africa, in the Limpopo area, he has just gone from planting the mango. He plants it, he harvests the mango, and then he turns the mango into various mango byproducts, whether it's juice, dried fruit, fresh fruit, and so forth. He does that. So that is one of the uphill things, because if I'm just going to produce mangoes and nobody buys my mangoes, you're already experiencing a loss. So the finances also, the availability of financing in agriculture, you need to be very careful. This is one thing I mentioned when I spoke about is obtaining a farm in Namibia difficult, where I said, when you are applying for a loan or you're applying for money from a lender to give you money to be able to buy a farm, make sure that you read the T and C's, the terms and conditions, so you understand. Because sometimes the loans are very difficult to come by. I know certain loans might require you to have security such as a collateral, a house or something. collateral or fixed assets which they could repossess if you fail at paying off the loan for the farm. So these are some of the things that you have to look at. But these are the big ones that could mean an uphill battle. Climate change, modern day technologies, retailer requirements, food requirements by consumers, the food content and so forth. So these are some of the things that would make it very difficult to enter the agricultural business. But these are my 2 cents with the information supplied by Syngenta Global. I hope this answers Mr. Reese's question that he had asked. Yeah, Mr. Hugh Reese's question that he had asked about what are the uphill battles joining the agricultural business. I think we'll probably have to do a second video on this topic, because we have to touch on other things, such as if you're going to get into livestock, animal husbandry, the prices of the available breeding stock, the prices of cattle, the prices of meat. Just like the information mentioned here, the global market fluctuations do also affect you. A farmer sitting down on the southern tip of southern Africa, in a country known as Namibia, you are being affected by a meat price fluctuation probably in Europe. That affects you down here. So these are some of the uphill battles that you expose yourself when you get into the agricultural business. As I said, it's a one-man show business. So it's not all the time that you will be able to make a mistake and be able to bounce back quickly. Sometimes it's costly mistakes and they can cost you. So that is my 2 cents on this issue. With that said, guys, I just want to say, have yourself a good night and bye for now.